Now, those who hold to the literal interpretation will often say that when an ordinal number is used with the word yom, like second day or third day and so forth, that then it always refers to a 24-hour period of time. But I don't find this a convincing argument at all. First of all, there's no grammatical rule in Hebrew that says when yom is used with an ordinal number, it must refer to a 24-hour period of time. If no such examples are to be found in Hebrew literature that we have, that could simply be accidental. It could simply be a reflection of the fact that our stories or sources in Hebrew are relatively limited, and there just isn't any occasion on which you have an expression like second day or third day being used in a metaphorical way. So it's not really a valid point, grammatically speaking. It can simply be an accident of history or literature that we don't have passages where an ordinal number is used with yom to refer to something other than a 24-hour period of time. Secondly, however, the claim is in fact just false anyway. We do have passages where yom is used with an ordinal number to refer to a non-literal day. Hosea 6:2 would be such an example. Hosea chapter 6 and verse 2. Hosea says, "He will revive us after 2 days. He will raise us up on the 3rd day that we may live before him." Now, here, the days are clearly not 24-hour periods of time. Rather, the 3rd day represents the time of God's restoration and healing of Israel after having wounded and rent Israel through his judgment. So it's simply false that yom is never used with an ordinal number to refer to a non-literal day. Hosea 6:2 clearly does. But thirdly, I think that the claim here on the part of the literal interpreter is simply missing the point entirely. The point is that a 24-hour day can be used as a literary metaphor, even if yom always refers to a 24-hour day. That doesn't even address the question of whether a 24-hour day couldn't be used metaphorically. Let me give an analogy. Take the English word arm. Now, in English, the word arm has 2 senses. In one sense, it refers to a limb of the body attached to your shoulder with a hand on the end. This would be your arm. But in another sense, the English word arm can refer to a weapon. For example, we might refer to someone who is carrying a concealed arm, or we might talk about an armed man. And when we talk about an armed man, we don't mean a man who has limbs. We mean a man who's carrying a weapon. So the word arm in English can have these 2 different meanings. Now, very often the scriptures will use the word arm in a metaphorical sense with respect to the Lord. For example, it will say something like this: the arm of the Lord was with them. Now, when I say the arm of the Lord, I'm clearly using the word in the sense to mean a limb. I'm not talking about the Lord's having a weapon. I'm using the word arm in the ordinary sense of an appendage or a limb. But that doesn't mean that it's to be taken literally when you apply it to God, as the Mormons do and think that God has some sort of a humanoid body. Rather, it's a metaphor when it's applied to God. When the scriptures say that the arm of the Lord was with the people of Israel, what it means is something like that God's power was with them, or that he was strengthening them, or that God's favor was upon them with strength and might. So, in saying that arm means limb, if you could show that everywhere the word arm is used in Scripture, it means a limb, that wouldn't do anything to show that the word is not being used metaphorically to refer to something else. And in exactly the same way, even if yom is always used in Scripture to refer to a 24-hour day, that doesn't even begin to address the question of whether a 24-hour day might not be used metaphorically for something else. So I don't think that these arguments in favor of the literal interpretation are at all compelling.